If you thought the Pirates were just going to sit on their hands after missing out on Kyle Schwarber, think again. They just added a lefty hammer for late innings, and yes, they need more.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. I've been covering the Pirates since 2019. Used to be the editor at Steel City Pirates. I wrote at Sports Illustrated for a little while, too. Just love the baseball team, and I'm always going to follow them, even though they disappoint me an awful lot. The Everydayer Club launched yesterday or Monday. You guys have been great with that so far. We'll touch on that a little bit more as we get into it. Thank you so much for making Locked On Pirates your first listen. It means so much to me, and to be on the number one ranked sports podcast network there is unbelievable. You guys have really helped me grow this show just crazy in the first year. Today, we're going to break down Gregory Soto's signing and why this fits the division and the bullpen they're building. Then we'll get real on what now after Schwarber, names, tiers. I'm going to give you how I would push forward instead of panicking. And finally, I'll take an AMA on the exits of Horowitz, Bleich, and Butler, and how the Pirates are likely to fill those roles internally. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Gregory Soto, the lefty leverage piece, I'll call him. Pirates addressed a glaring need and got a veteran left-handed high-leverage reliever. Gregory Soto, 1 year, $7.75 million deal, adds a real lefty that was a priority. Before this, the 40-man had rookies Hunter Barco and Evan Sisk on as the only lefty arms, especially after just moving Samaniego to Boston along with Johan Oviedo. That's just not enough for a division littered with dangerous left-handed bats and switch hitters who punish mistakes. Soto turns 31 in February. He's a power arm. He's got 2 all-star selections under his belt and 56 career saves. Against left-handed hitters, he's been pretty wipeout. 211, 306, 294 allowed. That profile, plus the temperament for tight spots, it screams setup man for Dennis Santana or a shared closer role, depending on matchups and workload. And last year, he split time between Baltimore and the Mets, 1-5 with a 4.18 ERA, 143 WHIP, 10.4 K per 9 across 70 appearances. 70 appearances probably being one of the most important stats to pay attention to here. Career line of 15-34 with a 4.26 ERA, 144 WHIP in 391 games with Detroit, Philly, Baltimore, and New York. The All-Star seasons came with the Tigers, 18 saves in 2021, 30 in 2022. As far as his pitch mix, he's got 4 offerings. 2 he leans on for the most part. The sinker sits around 97 miles an hour. That's pretty hot for a lefty. And he threw it about 52% of the time, even if it was hit to a 314 average last year. The slider is a finisher, and he'll flash a 4-seam plus a sweeper to keep hitters honest. The underlying stuff still plays. Above average chase, 31.5%. Whiff around 30. An elite barrel rate, 4%, 97th percentile there. So, and basically what they're saying is when he misses bats, it's loud. When hitters do connect, they rarely square him up. My take on this, really, this is a smart pickup, and frankly, one they needed. Soto is death on lefties. And in this division, you win late by neutralizing left-handed impact. They might still need another lefty. But Soto was the best one available in free agency. The 1-year deal doesn't bother me. That's where the market landed for him. I've said the Pirates often need to overpay to get guys here. I won't get mad when they don't have to. This should help immediately. And no, this doesn't mean that they reverted to cheap after missing Schwarber. That logic kind of assumes that they can only work on one file at a time, which frankly is infantile. They've had multiple offers out concurrently. Adding Soto is a bullpen decision, not a white flag on offense. All in all, this is exactly the type of signing the Pirates need to do. You got to go out and execute. This wasn't like they took what they could get. I mean, there's an element of that because this wasn't a guy that was going to require a gigantic paycheck and a long term to get it done. But it's a guy that he was the top lefty available on the board, if you ask me. And I mean, I'm going to mention one later that I think they should still look at in free agency, but this was an area I was starting to get increasingly concerned they were going to have to try to trade for, and or I was afraid it might be how they end up having to utilize Hunter Barco this year. I mean, they really just don't have lefty depth. And I mean, we don't even have a starter that's a lefty outside of Barco. So, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about that aspect of things. So to sign this to me was basically just like ensuring you're not going to have a big sore thumb on this. You're not going to swing and miss on the bullpen. They needed this. They needed this. They needed two elements that Soto brings, the lefty aspect and specifically being wipeout against lefties, because we've seen some pretty decent lefties come through here that somehow had terrible numbers against lefties. It didn't make any sense. Like, I felt like lefties hit Andrew Heaney way better than righties, which was super strange, right? I mean, he was a starter, so not a great comp, but I don't feel like we've had a lefty that just was a deadly against lefties for a minute. Even Ryan Barucki, while he was good, wasn't that. And Caleb Ferguson is a guy I'm still interested in. I don't think he was considered wipeout. Consistent, sure, but I didn't feel like it was necessarily super important whether he was facing a lefty or righty. He was pretty effective against both. You want them to be effective against both, don't get me wrong, but I want you to be lights out against lefties if I'm bringing you in, because let's be real, when you only have a couple, you got to be pretty strategic about when you deploy them. And when you deploy them is usually when you need that lefty to get those outs against those lefties. You know, you want to be able to bring that guy in and neutralize like the two of the four heart of the order hitters for the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, you want that guy to not only flip Ellie De La Cruz to hitting right-handed, but be able to get him out when you do. Gregory Soto was a good pickup here, really. Not Aroldis Chapman. I'm not going to pretend that he's that kind of level, but this is a big power lefty that's got a lot of experience and a lot of durability. That durability, as we know, is very important. It's a guy that threw 70 innings last year. That's a lot for a reliever. I don't know that the Pirates will expect him to throw 70 innings, but I think they like to kind of go more with one inning for guys like that. And I think that's what we'll see them do. But he's a guy that's got that bag in his box of tricks. He can do it. If you need him to go a couple innings, he can do it. He's got that in him. And I think if you just need him to come in and get that one crucial out to get you out of a jam, I think he can do that. He's pitched the leverage before, which is super important because they just don't have a lot of that. They don't. Dennis Santana is good, but even he doesn't have a lot of experience. In fact, Soto's got more than him. I don't think they brought him in directly to be the closer. I haven't heard that, but I do think he will help Dennis Santana one way or another. Because even if they share it or if one is supporting the other, I mean, first, I don't think that either of them have that kind of ego as far as who has to be the closer or anything. But $7.5 million for a reliever, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's decent pay. I guess like some of you are upset that it didn't come in at multi-year, but it didn't take multi-year. And I mean, kind of look at his history. That's what he's been doing, is kind of going from team to team, and I get that. I think that's just kind of the type of player he is. And a +4 ERA is just never going to look that sexy to you. Really look at the underlying numbers with Soto. I really think you're going to be happy with this signing. I am. I think it's a good one. It's coming up. I want to talk about, well, what now after Schwarber? They missed on him. So now I want to get into names and tiers and how the Pirates could push without panicking. I've got a shopping list. Let's do this. It'll be fun. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Boy, if it's anything like Twitter, it's got to be exhausting. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player prop updates as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. You guys keep this show climbing the charts because of everything that you do and all of your participation. Every time you guys leave comments and share and comment on social media, you guys grow the show. You bring new eyes to it, and I just really appreciate it. Join the Everydayer Club. Go ad-free. Get access to our Discord and support the show for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Sign up at the Supercast link in the show notes. It's an easy way to get yourself involved in a community of people that want to talk baseball. I mean, so far, that's what we are seeing in that Discord. People that want to talk baseball, real baseball, actual on-the-field baseball, not conspiracy theories. And it's great stuff so far. So I hope you all get a chance to check it out. The Pirates need to add a name, and it needs to be for more than 1 year. Building block is offense, of course, specifically power. And it'd be great if it was a lefty bat. Positions we can improve: outfield, third, short, second, catcher, you name it. As Charrington said at the winter meetings, it's dubious to pretend we only need one thing. We need a lot. So he basically said in a nice way, listen, we don't want to say that we think we're bad, but we also think we could improve in a lot of different ways in a lot of different places. So basically, nothing is off limits. So let's get into what I would do here. I would immediately turn my gaze to some other things. The first thing people are pointing me towards is Pete Alonso. I think that's a lost cause and probably not the best fit. First, I believe he's a DH here. I don't think he takes over first base. I think Spencer Horowitz holds on to that spot, and Alonso becomes your DH. That's fine. A lot of home runs. Love to have it. I think he's going to take probably 5 years to get done. There seems to be a little bit of a question mark as to whether anybody is willing to go 5 years. He's a weird guy. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to take a gigantic swing that he's the guy I'm doing it on. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you. Maybe if you don't follow Major League Baseball as a whole, you probably don't see a lot of Pete Alonso, but let's just say like he's an odd guy. Okay. I'm not 100% sure that he fills the bill of like that gigantic contract you bring in who goes out and evangelizes and helps you keep things moving. Okay. So just something to caution you on. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just personally think it's one they're going to lose out on. I think they might lose out on this one too, but I'm still going to suggest it. Cody Bellinger. I think a $30 million AAV for 5+ years. And I think the Pirates price would probably even be a little higher than that. But you would need term and cash. And Cody Bellinger is a guy that I think fixes a lot of problems, can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of different things with him. You can use him in center field. You can use him in corner outfield. You can use him at first base. You can use him at DH. He can do all those things. He can hit for power. He can hit for average. He could go into a scary tank like he did in LA too, even though it's been a couple years now since those years. A couple years ago, he wasn't too different from Jack Sawinski, and I'm kind of not lying. So Cody Bellinger is a guy that is going to cost money and I believe is a risk. He's much more of a risk than Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber's been very consistent. I would after that and at the same time be looking at Ryan O'Hearn. 12 to 14 million per, I think gets it done. 2 to 3 years. A fit if you want a shorter commitment with legit thump. I think he probably is a DH. I think it's a stretch to think that he solves an outfield corner spot for you. And let me specify, solve. Because I don't think that he's a good outfielder. I think you'd still be wanting for a better outfielder. But the bat you'd overlook it for the bat. You got to get that offense in here somehow. But I think he probably gravitates towards DH too. Another lefty reliever I would look at immediately, Andrew Chafin. I've wanted him for a few years. Yes, he's another lefty. But 1 year at 4.5 or 5.5 million, somewhere in there, just go get him. Lefty market is so thin after Soto. And if you can't get Chafin or for whatever reason, that's not the way you want to go out and get Caleb Ferguson back here. 4 to 5 million. I thought he did great here. Familiarity helps a little bit, even though it's a different pitching coach. I really think it'd be hard to deny what he did here. He was very good, very solid, back end of the bullpen performer for a good long while. Give him a couple years. He's young. I wouldn't mind Caleb Ferguson being locked up here for a minute. If you strike out on all the bats, like the big bats, I would still want you to make this team harder to beat via a big investment. And I would turn my attention to a starting pitcher. I know this sounds crazy, guys, but just go with me. And I kind of just want to throw it out there to get your opinions. If you strike out on the big bats, like say you don't get a Bellinger or an Alonso or one of those gigantic difference makers, go all in and get Michael King. 23 to 25 million a year, I think, might get it done. Do it for 5 years. He's the Robin to your Batman on day one. He's right away the number 2. He's a good pitcher. He lengthens this rotation out like you wouldn't believe. And then he does return the flexibility to you to move off of your Keller deal if you want to at the deadline or even in the upcoming off season. Michael King strengthens this rotation professionally. That would be a great signing if you wanted to just shore up the rotation. And yes, you're right. We probably don't need to go that route. They probably do have plenty of pitching. But if you want to get rid of that probably word and go with I'm damn sure, Michael King. That's how I would spend my money, because we're going to run out of bats that cost the kind of money that you're talking about making a major impact with, unless you trade for it, which is another subject entirely. We're sticking with free agency for the most part here. Tier 2, this is like, okay, I still have to have offense. I missed, but I still got to do it. Adolis Garcia for me. If tier 1 bats fall through and you're desperate for power, push 1 or 2 years, 12 to 14 million per, maybe 15 to get a 1-year deal done, whatever. Adolis Garcia is risky, but it's Thunder. And again, this team has got to have it. Just got to have it. Also in tier 2, I'd have Rob Refsnyder. And this is a fourth outfielder, okay? I'm not talking as a starter. This is a guy that I could think you could bring in for 1 year, $5 to $6 million. Outfield, righty platoon specialist. He kills left-handed pitching. That's all he's here for, and he's a capable fielder. I would just like to have that on my bench, and if I couldn't have him, Mike Tauchman, 1 year, $3 to $4 million, fourth outfielder, decent OBP, lefty utility guy. I like the idea of having a player like that on my team. And trades that we got to keep our eyes on. Ketel Marte is still out there. I know we talked about it yesterday, and I know we talked about the no trade clause and everything. Again, I would just encourage teams that are on that list to just see past it and see if there's a deal there to begin with, because the question might not matter. You might not have what the deal you'd like to pull off is anyway, and you'd be surprised how influential people's current teams can be as far as convincing them to take those no trade clauses off the table. But Ketel Marte is a guy I'd still be very much in on. Stephen Kwan, I would not be done with. Brandon Lau is a guy that, yes, I would be considering. Yes, he would be a defensive liability at second base, but I think the bat, you would find enough opportunities for him to play as a DH. I think you could turn him into, for the most part, your starting DH from the left side. And then Kutch would become like your guy that faces right-handers. Obviously, that wouldn't be 100% true, but that would be the majority of the workload there, because you might want to use Brandon Lau at second base when you're facing a right-handed pitcher, and on occasion, and that's going to change things up. But that's a guy that I would bring in. Power. Stephen Kwan, a guy I'd be very interested in still. Again, I think he solves a big problem defensively in the outfield. I love his on-base stuff. He gives you a true leadoff hitter with a lot of speed. Power is left wanting, but again, I'm hoping they go and get other things. I don't need one guy to be every solution. Adley Rutschman is a guy that I would keep an eye on. I know the Orioles probably aren't 100% ready to move on from him, but Basalo is a big dude and a good prospect, and looks like he's got the skills to be a pretty good defensive catcher. That's going to make Adley Rutschman available, I would think, at some point. Depending on how comfortable you are with what Henry Davis is or where he's headed, Adley Rutschman for a couple of years, you could do worse as far as getting a power bat in here. Now, yeah, the power's fallen off for him a bit, but it's still better than most of what we've got on this team. Certainly be an upgrade over Joey Bart. He could certainly be a starter for you even. You don't have to force Henry Davis. Let it take time. But Adley Rutschman might be a guy you could check in on. And then another weird one that I've been toying around with, Ozzie Albies. Listen, I know that there's a struggle there. That's a lot of power that you can put at second base. It's a switch hitter. I mean, I would even think like you could include Nick Gonzalez in the return for him. I would include Nick Gonzalez in just about any trade for a second baseman. If I'm looking primarily for a second baseman and I'm going to go get it, and it's Ketel Marte or it's Brandon Lau or it's, Ozzie Albies, I'm trying as hard as I can to get them to take Nick Gonzalez as a return. First, I've got Nick York. It's almost like I've got two of them. So trade Nick Gonzalez before he hits arbitration. You've got to start worrying about it. Unless you really believe the power is going to emerge this year. If you really believe the power is going to emerge, okay, pump the brakes. Gary's getting ahead of himself. But if you're bringing in a second baseman right now and it's going to be more than a 1 year solution, well, I don't know what you're doing with Nick. And I really don't think you're going to move him to short permanently. Really don't. And that's without Griffin coming. And third base, I just don't think he has the arm for it. So to me, he's got to be part of any return you would do in anything like that. Ozzie Albies has got to keep an eye on, though. Bad season last year, injured a lot, but when he's going, it's a guy that can hit a lot of home runs from both sides of the plate for you and run and, in general, just kind of add some spark and some championship pedigree. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that a little bit. After the break, I'm going to hit an AMA on losing Horowitz, Bleich, and Butler, what those exits mean, and how the Pirates likely fill the roles without big external splash. Hey, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. And let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. It's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through the matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seats before you buy. Prices include the fees up front, which I love. No last second surprises at checkout. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, of course, apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. All right. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Follow me on X at GaryMO2007. Let's talk some Pirates baseball. Locked On Pirates is everywhere that you want to look on social media. The invite is open. Find the link in the show notes and join the Everydayers Club for our exclusive Discord. Tons of great fan conversations going on already every day, and we're only 3 days in. It's actually difficult for me to keep up with the number of topics that are being brought up there. Frankly, I can only do one show a day with 3 topics, and it's a struggle. How do the Pirates fill roles after Horowitz, Bleich, and Butler have departed? Let's go through them. Justin Horowitz, this happened a while ago, obviously, left as the director of scouting and development here. He is not being formally replaced right now. Kevin Graves is going to run the draft. Graves has been here since 2016. He's well respected. Some see him as a future GM. No formal scouting director is going to be hired this year. It has been announced. Graves is going to steer with the current apparatus. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I'll get into that. Blake Butler, former high A Greensboro manager, heading to Miami as an infield coach. Good dude. Spoke with him a few times. Always had quality info. As for who fills Greensboro, I can't tell you today. That's a moving piece that can be internal or opportunistic based on staff availability. I just don't know. Jeremy Bleich, he was the director of pitching development, now hired as an assistant GM with the D-backs. Pittsburgh had the 7th best ERA in Major League Baseball, 3.76 last year, and the 3rd best in the National League. So clearly there's talent, and the development pipeline has produced results. Arizona wants to overhaul their pitching development with more emphasis on stuff and velocity within health margins. Of course, trying to unlock more from their minor league arms. So we knocked this development team and system plenty. And it's hard to judge some layers from the outside, but one thing you can judge is how often your staff gets poached. That matters. These are losses, sure. But the person who identified and hired, promoted them is still here. For all the faults we talk about everywhere, This is a sign the system is producing capable operators. Even if it took too long to show up on the scoreboard, I'd expect internal candidates to be hungry, people who learned under Bleich, ready to step up. Same with Graves, respected, added methods while working with Horowitz. Now he gets the ball. Executive farms aren't much different than player farms, really, if you think about it. And the thread between Soto and the AMA is simple. Build edges, late inning leverage from the left side, internal succession and development roles, and keep pushing the front office and roster. Don't mistake 1 year reliever for we're done. If the Pirates winner is about leverage, Soto is exhibit A. Give your manager matchup power. Add another lefty. Push for real bats, real term, and let your internal executive pipeline prove it can reload. Miss on one name? Fine. Push on 3 more. This isn't about perfect. It's about pressure. Remember, we're serious about Pirates baseball because somebody has to be. Let's go Bucks.